What's up, party people? Welcome back to Fantasy Sports Consulting. I'm your host, Ryan Kostarowski. Hope your day is going great. Here today, we already talked about our start sit earlier today, but I just want to go through five, you can call them tips, you can call them advice, you can call them friendly reminders, or hopefully they're things you already know. But we're just going to talk DFS for a couple minutes and mostly geared towards the NBA, but DFS as a whole can kind of be part of it. So if you're new to the station, I talk DFS all day long. If you want more videos, just press that red button that says subscribe. Easiest way to know when they're out. If you want to get better at DFS, I give daily advice, and I also run private Facebook groups where basically networking groups for people to get better at DFS, talk to other people, find other sources, and just have people you can discuss DSF with and know what they're talking about. If you're interested in getting into one of those, hit me up, 30 a month or 200 full year. That gets my advice and the group. Totally up to you what you would want to do. All right. 5 things to help you up your DFS game. And like I said before, some of these will just be common sense to a lot of you. You probably heard them before or you do them every day. But if I can get any useful information out to anybody, might as well give it a whirl. All right, number 1, pay for help. Of course, I would love it if you buy my services. That's part of the reason I'm on here, right? That goes without saying. But if you aren't paying for help and you aren't subscribing to different websites, you're going to be behind the eight ball of a lot of people who are already doing this. Doing all the research on your own is difficult. So occasionally, I'll get messages from people, well, why should I pay for your help? You should be paying for a lot of people's help. Unless you have literally nothing to do during the day, which isn't most people, because if you have nothing to do during the day, you probably don't have enough money to be playing DFS. You have to abbreviate your research process as much as possible. Time is money. Now, if you're a normal adult making, let's just say, what's a normal adult salary these days? $30 an hour, something like that. If you pay $30 a month for me or for anybody else, it's making your life a little bit easier instead of spending all that time doing that research. There's a million people out there you can pay for. You got your roto grinders and your fantasy labs. Those are great to at least check out. For the very minimum, it'll help you determine who the chalk play of the day is. Those are the big two, right? I mean, lots of respect for what they do over there. They're great places to go to see where the DFS community is going to be looking at that day for a whole. But I also suggest getting out there on the fringe and checking out a few other people who know what they're talking about, but don't have 8 million people following them, because then you can get maybe some advice that you weren't getting from the main cogs out there. So if you don't know where to find these people, you need to just get on Twitter and start just looking throughout the world of DFS. Twitter is a great place for information. You can find a million people out there. Find some people you like, find some sources you can trust, and go to town. I probably spend $1,000 a year on different DFS stats or advice because I want to take a look at all these things because it helps me get better at what I'm doing, which is supply you guys with winning information. So if you aren't paying for help, you are way behind the eight ball. And obviously, of course, I would love it if you use me. But even if you're not going to pay for me, go out there and make sure you're getting some good information just to make your research process a little bit quicker. All right, number 2, evaluate each slate individually. I get a million emails and social media messages every single day, and one common question is people are always looking for set rules or set guidelines about how they should play. And quite simply, guys, there isn't a lot of them. Each slate is individual. It's unique, like a snowflake. Wow, that was really weird. But each one is going to be a little bit different. Last night was kind of a weird slate because we had eventually everybody kind of had to play a Harden or a Westbrook, even though nobody really wanted to. They both ended up being okay, but nobody, it looked like universally we were all looking at that slate. It was kind of funky and kind of ugly. They're all going to be a little bit different. It's not just one set of standard rules that you have to follow each day or each slate. You'll have some rules or guidelines you should pretty well come close to. For example, using a center or a point guard in your utility spot is just good, smart business. But every slate's a little bit differently. And I can draw some comparisons. Now, I don't really play any video games anymore, but I used to play Madden football online all the time. And there was a million different games where I would get down 14-0, 17-0, but I would eventually end up winning the game 24-17 or 24-20 or something like that. Why? Because that person never made any adjustments. They knew how to do one thing. They would do it well. They'd get me on it twice, and then they would never score ever again because they didn't make any adjustments. You got to make adjustments and treat everything a little bit like an individual. I used to play poker for a living. Another example of that would be if I'm sitting at a really, really, really aggressive table where people are all in every other hand, I'm going to be play passive. I'm going to wait for one or two good hands. I'm going to double up once or twice, hopefully, unless I get shit on by the odds, which happens. But I'm going to play that way. If I'm playing at a really passive table, I'll be the aggressor. I'll raise every hand until people start checking me and they loosen up. Everything has got to be analyzed a little bit as an individual. They aren't just set and structured rules for DFS like that. All right, number 3. Know who scores a lot and who doesn't, and avoid them as much as possible. My recommendation, if you don't know these things already, and hopefully you do, just go to ESPN.com, go to the NBA standings, click on opponents' points per game, and take a look at the people that allow the fewest points per game. You're going to find your Memphis, your Dallas, your Utah, your Pistons, and things like that. And know that generally, if you don't have to, you want to avoid people within this game as much as possible. Are people able to succeed versus these teams? Fuck yeah, they are. Absolutely, they can. But it's more than likely going to be one or two individuals. Whereas if you pick the right game, almost all of the people on the opposing team can succeed. An example would be the Memphis Grizzlies for last night. And I saw a ton of love for Isaiah Thomas last night. So if you were one of the people that loved Thomas, yeah, I'm not picking on you individually because there's a million other games that there was a million people I saw who liked him, and there's going to be a million other games where he could work out. I didn't use really any Celtics players last night. And if you go back and look at the Celtics, you got Crowder, who was okay. Thomas was pretty bad. Horford was pretty bad. Avery Bradley was good. And Amir Johnson was decent as well. So you got more or less two people not succeeding, one so-so, and then Bradley was pretty good. And it's just more likely that you're not going to get people who succeed against those opponents because they're going to play slower, they're going to play better defense. So if you can, try to avoid them as much as possible. And then kind of watch that stuff throughout the year because things will change as injuries mount up, as teams maybe shift the way they play. But know the games that are slow and have better defense and just play as little from them as you possibly can. All right, number 4. This one's tough, and I'm as guilty as anybody out there. Try not to get locked into or out of players due to past performances when you've picked them before. And as I say this, there's probably hundreds of you out there thinking the same thing. Yes, I'm guilty of that. Because, guys, I'm just as guilty of that as anyone. And, you're going to have those players that feel like they succeed for you all the time and those who you feel like bite you right in the tail every single time. Some examples for me would be Jonas Valanciunas this year. He had a couple of nice starts for me last year. This year, every time I pick him, he absolutely shits the bed 100%. So now it's to the point where I just get that vomit sound in my mind every time I look at him and think I should play him, to the point where I am evaluating him unfairly due to the human emotions that go along with it. On the good side, you got Miles Turner. Miles Turner, almost every time I start him, has a big game. So, of course, I like him probably more than I should like him. So we all have those guys, and I'll see them all the time because I'm all over social media too much. That's what I do for a living, so I have to, but I'm definitely on social media too much. And I see people, now he's dead to me. Don't make somebody dead to you because you can miss out on a really good performance or potential performance simply because you're mad at them for something they did in the past. Just because somebody played poorly for you in the past doesn't mean they can't play well for you in the future. You just might have gotten a bad night. But that's the human element that comes into DFS. And when we get our money involved like this, you can make emotional decisions. So try to eliminate that as much as possible. And I say that being just as guilty as any of you, if not more. All right, number 5. You need to be doing this on a PC or a tablet, and if you can have multiple screens set up, it's all the better for you. And this comes up because I recently did a video talking about checking out the splits on players and how you can use that to your advantage. And apparently on the DraftKings mobile app, you don't get access to that button for the splits, and you can only get that using the website via PC or tablet. Guys, if you're trying to set your lineups via your phone most nights, you're already in a losing battle. You cannot navigate between screens quite as quickly on a phone as you can on a PC or on a tablet. And there's a time crunch, especially for NBA. I have multiple screens set up where I got websites up over here so I can check out, player positional rankings, past performances, look at what somebody's done over the last 10 games, check out their splits, and I can do it really, really quickly. If you're on your phone and you don't have this stuff memorized, you're back and forth between website. It is not easy, guys. So if you want to win money, you really need to have some computer or at least a minimum some tablet time. And if you can put up multiple screens somewhere, all the better for you because we are in a time crunch and you need to look at as much data as possible in a very short period of time. So that's what I got. Thanks for watching. Hope some of this helped. Have a great night tonight, and I will talk to you later, guys.